Environmental conscious engineering, and this presentation is on environmental auditing legislation. Environmental auditing. This is a preview of the presentation. We'll begin with the introduction, background, detailed definitions, legislation, areas of environmental auditing, types of audits, environmental auditing procedures, audit protocols, methods and tools, environmental auditing and environmental management systems, ISO 14001 standard, list of some industrial environmental disasters, benefits of auditing. Background and historicity. Environmental auditing follows a process similar to financial auditing, but there are many differences between them. A financial audit, recorded in the history of many countries, first conducted in England in 1314, now a requirement for every registered organization in every country. An environmental audit only started in the 1970s in the USA, mainly to check compliance with laws, now widely practiced in many countries, e.g. USA, UK, Canada, Australia, now encouraged as a self-regulatory tool. Environmental auditing is an attempt to provide information on the environmental performance of a company, and thus includes environmental issues in the decision-making process. An environmental audit assesses the nature and extent of harm to the environment caused by the activities, wastes, or noise from a particular company. Environmental audits must be independent, objective, credible, and transparent in order to be successful. Audits should be regular and ongoing. Definition of terms. ISO 19011 of 2011, Guidance for Quality and/or Environmental Management Systems Auditing. Environmental audit, systematic, independent, and documented process for obtaining audit evidence and evaluating it objectively to determine the extent to which the audit criteria are fulfilled. Auditor, person with competence to conduct an audit. Auditee, it is the organization being audited. Audit criteria, sets of policies, procedures, or requirements. Audit evidence, records, statements of facts, or other information which are relevant to the audit criteria and verifiable. Audit conclusion, outcome of an audit provided by the audit team after consideration of the audit objectives and all the audit findings. Audit team, one or more auditors conducting an audit, supported if needed by technical experts. Audit program, set of one or more audits planned for a specific time frame and directed towards a specific purpose. Audit plan, description of the activities and arrangements for an audit. Audit scope, extent and boundaries of an audit. Legislation. Article 73 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe of 2013 makes provision for an environmental right. Every person has the right to an environment that is not harmful to their health or well-being, and to have the environment protected for the benefit of present and future generations through reasonable legislative and other measures that prevent pollution and ecological degradation, promote conservation and secure ecologically sustainable development and use of natural resources while promoting economic and social development. Article 282 includes the protection of the environment as one of the functions of traditional leaders. Article 289, one of the principles identified to guide policies regarding agricultural land is the protection and conservation of environment for future generations. When all these taken together, these clauses provide a strong and robust constitutional mandate for sustainable ecological management. Still on legislation, the Ministry of Environment, Tourism and Hospitality Industry regulates the management of the environment, promote, coordinate, and monitor the protection of the environment and the control of pollution. Regulate the activities of all government agencies and other agencies in terms of their impact on the environment. Present to Parliament a report on the state of the environment at the end of every 5 years. Monitor the environment trends in the utilization of natural resources and the impact of such utilization on the environment. Coordinate the promotion of public awareness and education on environmental management. Impose penalties in terms of the Environmental Management Act, Chapter 20, Section 27, which is called the Act on any persons who cause harm to the environment. Administrative structures: National Environmental Council, Environmental Management Agency, and the Environment Management Board. Environmental Management Act, Chapter 20, Section 27. The Environmental Management Act, EMA, Chapter 20, Section 27, number 13 of 2002, was enacted in 2002 and amended on 25 March 2006. It aims to provide for the sustainable management of natural resources and protection of the environment, and the prevention of pollution and environmental degradation. The Act also provides for the establishment of an environmental management agency and an environmental fund. The EMA repeals the following former acts: the Natural Resources Act, Chapter 20, Section 13, Atmospheric Pollution Prevention Act, Chapter 20, Section 3, Hazardous Substances and Articles Act, Chapter 15, Section 5, Noxious Weeds Act, Chapter 19, Section 7. Statutory instruments: Environment Management Act for Hazardous Waste Management Regulations of 2007, Chapter 20, Section 27, Hazardous Substances, Pesticides, and Toxic Substance Regulation, Statutory Instrument 268 of 2018, Environment Management Act, Atmospheric Pollution Control Regulations, Statutory Instrument 72 of 2009, Chapter 20, Section 27. The Zimbabwe National Water Authority Act, Number 11 of 1998, Chapter 20, Section 25, as amended, Mines and Minerals Act of 1961, Chapter 21, Section 5. Areas of environmental auditing: management systems, material management, savings and alternatives, energy management and savings, water management and economy of use, waste generation, management and disposal, noise reduction, evaluation and control, both internal and external, work zone environment quality, health monitoring. Air emissions and indoor air quality, transportation and traveling practices, self-awareness, participation and training in environmental issues, environmental information publicity, public inquiry and complaints and response. Types of audits: environmental management audits, environmental compliance audits, environmental assessment audits, waste audits, environmental due diligence audits, supplier, contractor audits, energy audits, cleaner production audits, environmental marketing audits. The foundations of a successful environmental performance audit: it should be based on solid methodology, qualified personnel, and the qualities are professional judgment, critical thinking, creativity and innovation, ability to lead and supervise, ability to manage relationships and communications, both internally and externally with departments and agencies, sound knowledge of subject matter. Environmental auditing procedures: the scope and style of environmental audits vary according to the circumstances, but common stages and activities include the pre-audit stage, full management commitment, setting overall goals, objectives, scope, and priorities, selecting a team to ensure objectivity and professional competence. The audit stage: on-site audit, well-defined and systematic using protocols or checklists, review of documents and records, review of policies, site inspection. Post-audit stage: evaluation of findings, reporting and recommendations, preparation of an action plan, and follow-ups. Audit protocols, methods, and tools. The term protocol means a checklist used by environmental auditors as the guide for conducting the audit activities. Current technology supports many versions of computer-based protocols that attempt to simplify the audit process by converting regulatory requirements into questions with yes, no, and not applicable checkboxes. Some auditors in certain instances employ payments directly as permits. Audit protocols, methods, and tools. And now on the tools and techniques, which are checklists, questionnaires, which are the audit protocols, questioning, observation, photographs, drill down sampling, and research. Environmental Management System, EMS. An EMS is a tool designed to enable organizations to achieve continuous improvement in environmental performance. It is one integrated management process with a number of stages, which include an environmental audit. Stages of the standard EMS are to: firstly, adopt an environmental policy that promotes commitment to continual improvement in environmental performance. Undertake an environmental review to identify significant environmental issues. Set up environmental programs, objectives, targets, and actions. Establish an environmental management system to ensure the implementation of the necessary actions to achieve these objectives. Undertake periodic environmental audits to assess the performance of such components. Prepare an environmental statement on environmental performance and obtain independent verification of the environmental statement. ISO 14001. The ISO 14001 is a voluntary international standard for environmental management systems, EMS. It provides the requirements for an EMS. An EMS meeting the requirements of ISO 14001 of 2004 is a management tool enabling an organization of any size and type to, firstly, identify and control the environmental impact of its activities, products, or services. Improve its environmental performance continually. Implement a systematic approach to setting environmental objectives and targets to achieving these and to demonstrating that they have been achieved. The goal of ISO 14001 implementation is to obtain certification. List of some of the industrial environmental disasters. In 1912, the Itai disease due to cadmium poisoning in Japan of 1912. 1948, Donora smog. 1952, the Great Smog in London. 1962 to 1970, mercury contamination in grassy narrows. 1970, Ontario Minamata disease in Canada. 1976, the Seveso disaster, which was a chemical plant explosion, caused highest known exposure to 2378 tetrachloro-dibenzopyrdioxine TCDD in residential populations. 1983, Times Beach, Missouri. The town was completely evacuated due to a dioxin contamination. 1984, Bhopal disaster, which occurred on December 3, 1984 in India. A leak of methyl isocyanate resulted in more than 22,000 deaths. 1986, Sandoz chemical spill into the Rhine River. 1989, Philips disasters. 1990, release of cyanide, heavy metals, and acids into the Alamosa River, Colorado, from the Summitville Mine, causing the death of all aquatic life 17 miles downstream. Benefits of auditing. It promotes self-regulation, ensuring compliance not with regards to legislation, which are the regulations and standards, but also with company policies and requirements of an environmental management system, EMS standard. Reduce burden of enforcement, ensures compliance with legislation, measures environmental performance to demonstrate that an organization is aware of its impact upon the environment through providing feedback. Enabling environmental problems and risks to be anticipated and responses planned. Improves relationships with interested parties, increased awareness among stakeholders, initiates a process of continuous improvement, more efficient use and financial savings, improved environmental practices, and environmentally friendly technology. Summary. Environmental safety and health auditing developed in the early 1970s largely among companies operating in environmentally intensive sectors such as oils and chemicals. Since then, environmental auditing has spread rapidly with the corresponding development of the approaches and techniques adopted. Several factors have been influenced this growth. Major accidents such as the Bhopal, Chernobyl, and Exxon Valdez disasters have reminded companies that it is not sufficient to set corporate policies and standards on environmental health and safety matters without ensuring that they are being implemented. Some useful contacts. The first one is the Ministry of Environment and Tourism and Hospitality Industry. And the second one is Environmental Management Agency. Those are the contacts. Think safety and thank you.